I don't want to do that. All right, let's get this show on the road here. Recently revealed internal documents from Google entered into evidence in a U.S. antitrust trial exposed the company's data strategy from 7 years ago. Those documents highlight Google's intense focus on user data collection, privacy concerns, and strategic weaknesses in the face of competition. The revelation, which includes candid discussions about data usage for advertising and concerns over Google's own privacy, underscores the ongoing scrutiny of the tech giant's practices. That and many, many more stories tonight from the brand new Geek News Central studio. You're listening to Geek News Central, episode 1761. Coming to you this Thursday, August 15th. I'm your host, Todd Cochran. Sorry about that. A big shout out to our primary sponsors at GoDaddy.com. Grab their deals at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And to all of our awesome listeners, you're the real MVPs. Contribute your time, talent, or treasure at geeknewscentral.com/insider by becoming a GNC insider. We are live and lit with modern podcast apps from podcastapps.com. Join the value for value movement by downloading and using a modern podcast app. Of course, you can dive into our digital hub at geeknewscentral.com. Don't forget to check out our partner shows, all linked up at the top of the website. Get on board and don't forget to follow or subscribe to your favorite modern podcast app. Sign up for the newsletter while you're at it. And of course, you can join the chat room at geeknews.chat. That's a Mastodon chat server. Just tell me when you're signing up that you're a fan of the show. And if you have feedback on today's podcast, it's very, very simple. geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com, or catch me on X at geeknews. Of course, I'm on Facebook as well. And of course, a massive salute to GoDaddy, our longtime sponsor here. We want to thank GoDaddy for their ongoing support of the podcast. Again, the longest running continuous sponsor of a podcast. You can take advantage of those savings today by going over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And really, the deals start here with $11.99 for a brand new domain name, or $6.99 a month. Economy hosting includes a free domain, professional email, and an SSL certificate for the first year, or $12.99 a month managed WordPress hosting, a free domain, professional email, and again, an SSL certificate for the first year. You can always get a free trial of GoDaddy website builder, your choice of personal business or business plus plans. That's a 1-month free trial. And again, those two hosting accounts are the way to go. $6.99 a month economy hosting, or $12.99 a month managed WordPress hosting. Again, both come with a free domain name, professional email account, and of course an SSL certificate for the very first year. We want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here at geeknewscentral.com. Make sure you get over and use those codes. We appreciate, we meaning I and the team of writers here at Geek News Central, because our monthly non-expiring codes really offer significant savings. Unlike a big corporate discount site that hides the codes and tracks your every click, you're supporting a small business. We want to thank you that are stepping up and supporting our sponsor here at Geek News Central. I tell you, it's great to be back with you, and I did something that, in retrospect, I should have done 5 years ago. The screen that I have all the content for this show is here, but I've always had a big computer monitor in front of me. And one thing that's always drove me crazy is I've known that I've been looking down. For those of you that are watching, I always look down to go over the articles and the content. And I thought to myself, why have you been doing that? You have the opportunity to put the big screen right there in front of you, because when I do the new media show, I need to see Rob. So and Rob and I just talk. I don't show too much on the screen. And there's enough movement back and forth that it makes sense. But now with I don't really need to see the TriCaster and what's going on there. If I need to, I just look over there and I can flip stuff in and out, and I can basically look straight ahead, not look like I'm looking down. So it's just one of those things that I've changed. A couple of other minor things that I've changed too. It's just some of the stuff I could have done before, but I never did. And what was funny is I said, okay, I need because I split it between the TriCaster and the Mac Mini. I need a couple of splitters. I need a single in, two out. I had one in a box that I've had in a box for, my God, since forever. So I didn't need to go on Amazon and order anything. And I digging through. I know there's a switch in here somewhere. And I found an HDMI switch. So I was able to switch between the two. And even if I do need to switch here, all I got to do is put my hand right up here in front of me and switch the monitor. So just these little bitty itty meeny tweaks. I raised the screen up a little bit. We'll see how that goes. But not having to look down all the time, which makes it nice. So yeah, episodes 1761 tonight. We're with you. We're live and lit. Talk a little bit about that later. Oh, that's another thing I did. There were some challenges with some pot settings and the way I kind of wired the audio streamer in for live and lit. I really kind of made this realization. Well, why have you been doing this entire time? And I've got an ability here because where I'm listening to the show in my ears is out of an amplifier that's right behind me. And I thought, well, why not run the audio from that? There's another channel on that. Take that over to the laptop. That way I can tweak it so that, because I've always had challenges getting enough volume into the live streamer. So I know what I'm hearing is making it out to the audio stream. Same thing with the video stream. So I think we're kind of dialed in. Now, today's a little bit cloudy and a little bit of rain here in Michigan, but cross our fingers here that we don't have any challenges with Starlink. But the last show seemed to go off without a hitch. I'm sure we're going to have some moments in time in the future where it isn't, and we'll cross those bridges when we get there. But anyway, thanks for everyone for being here. Thanks for being part of the family. And again, it doesn't matter if you're tuning in via audio or video. Thank you for doing so. If you're on YouTube watching us, thank you so much as well. And of course, if you are on any of the streaming platforms, make sure you say hello. Just say hi. Hi, Todd. Listen to the show. Love it, hate it, whatever. That'd be great. We thank you for your ongoing support and listening to the show. And I am going to be trying to get the show started around 6 to 6:15 live Eastern Standard Time going forward. No shows next week, though, because I will be in the United States nation's capital in Washington, D.C. I'll be there for the podcast movement event. So let's talk a little bit about this Google document case, where really a lot of interesting stuff is coming out. And essentially, it's all it is Google is doing what we've known them wanting to do for a while, is to collect information on us. A series of Google internal documents, which were entered as exhibits in ongoing U.S. prosecution of the company, shines a light on data, giant strategy, and positioning. The documents are about 7 years old. So they may not reflect Google's current thinking, but maybe they do. And the documents made clear Google's enthusiasm for coordinating all possible data about users so they could sell, yes, the word is sell, the most focused data to advertisers. Google said it needed to use a combination of advertiser data such as email subscription lists, Google signed in data such as web traversal data, in other words, where you're searching on the web, Gmail data, such as receipts and subscribed newsletters, to target users across multiple devices. And it also showed a fondness for various corporate speak and what's the word you want to use? Epinisms oh my God. Basically, corporate speak secret code for spying on users, such as sharing of conversational corpus and being able to harvest the conversation signals that it can improve ad timeliness and applicability. Google said it needed to invest more heavily to improve our understanding of the message that is being exchanged between us and who we're talking to, and to better understand the funnel position of a user, as well as broad quality uplift. Those are some of the big words they've used. Google also wrote that it needed to evaluate trade-offs between users' happiness and short-term revenue gains. Imagine that. Imagine that. And them saying that about us. We are the product, ladies and gentlemen. We're the product in many places. We are the product on Google. We're a product on Spotify. We're a product just about anywhere we go online. And if you don't think so, just read through that doc that I just covered. I've been in a bit of a kick here recently, thinking about all this. And this is one of the reasons why you, as podcast listeners of this show, I want you to be listening via these new podcast apps. None of that crazy tracking is going on. Your privacy is a much, much higher level. So think about that before you're listening to the show on Spotify or places like that. Kim.com's, yes, Kim.com. We haven't heard about him in a while, right? Well, his extradition to the United States has been given the green light by New Zealand. And really, after years of legal proceeding, New Zealand's Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith approved Kim.com's extradition to the United States. More than 12 years have passed since Mega Upload became the prime target in a high-profile law enforcement operation. You were all here for that. While time has moved on for the most of us, this is still going on. With the stakes this high, no legal resources are being spared. Many millions of dollars have been poured into this legal battle since 2012. And of course, in 2020, the Supreme Court of New Zealand ruled that Kim.com and his colleagues could indeed be extradited to the United States. Now, Megalo defendants Vanderkolk and Ortman eventually opted for a deal. The pair pled guilty, but allowed to serve the respective 30 and 31-month sentences in New Zealand. .com, meanwhile, has vowed to fight on. He says, I'm now the last man standing in this fight, and I will continue to fight because, unlike my co-defendants, I won't accept the injustice we've been subjected to. There's a point in time where maybe you should take a deal. I don't know if he's going to get that good of a deal here, but it's been a long time. He says, I have received, the Prime Minister says, I've received extensive advice from the Minister of Justice on this matter. I consider all the information carefully and decided that Mr. should be surrendered. As is common promise, I have allowed Mr. a short period of time consider and take advice on my decision. I will not, therefore, be commenting further at this stage. Now, .com says, I have a plan. Mr. Justice confirmed the extradition early today. .com revealed the decision on social media earlier this week, describing New Zealand as an obedient U.S. colony, which is very far from the truth. He says, the obedient U.S. colony in South Pacific just decided to extradite me for what users uploaded to Mega Upload, unsolicited, and what copyright holders were able to remove with direct delete access instantly without question. But who cares? That's justice these days. So he says he has a plan. So we will see where that plan may lead him. What can go wrong? What can go wrong? Microsoft is rolling out face check selfie verification system. Yes. What could go wrong? As I think about that, a lot can go wrong. Powered by Azure AI, Face Check uses real-time selfies. Microsoft's facial matching verification system, Face Check, is now available. The feature is part of an intra-verified ID, offers a new way to confirm user identity and protect against unauthorized login attempts. Face Check works by comparing selfie footage taken on a user's smartphone in real time with a verified photo held on Microsoft servers. So if I have a bunch of pictures of someone on my phone, won't that circumvent it? A successful match will confirm a user's identity and authorize a login to an account. Nothing's going to go wrong there. No bad character could collect a whole bunch of selfies from the internet and do a deep fake from pictures that have been published by individuals. Customer organization can choose a level of confidence required to accept a Face Check login attempt. The higher the confidence score threshold, the less likely Face Check will incorrectly verify an impersonator. The default score is a 50% match, which equates to 1 in 10. Listen to this. The default score is a 50% chance, which equates to a 1 in 100,000 chance of getting a false positive. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what can go wrong? Everything can go wrong. This to me is probably a very, very, very bad idea. We'll see. Now, one thing that I'm finding with this new monitor in front of me is now I want to look up. To change tabs, I need to be able to look down. All right, 7 hidden Ring app settings that make your smart home even better. Do you have a Ring app on your home? Are you allowing that data to be shared with law enforcement? Ring video doorbells and security cameras are renowned for their ease of use, but there's a whole bunch of features. There's a snapshot capture, and you can decide what happens between motion triggering. Link devices synchronize your security ecosystem. Talks about alert snoozes, taking breaks from notifications, and it's just on and on things that you can do with your Ring app and some of the features that are out there. Hey, one thing that I accomplished today, and something that we're going to be doing some construction here. We've got a family contractor that we've known for many, many years. He came out to the house. We verified the plan of what I want done. I went online to Home Depot and probably ordered just about $1,000 worth of materials, and just making some changes here. I'm not going to go into the details too much, but within a couple of weeks, there's going to be probably a whole day of banging around here, and which will get us all set with where things need to be, and again, just a little bit of construction work. But it's one of those dealios where, again, it's one of those things like, how come I didn't do this before? And so anyway, just that kind of stuff. All right, so what's next for the COSA? Now, the legislative package, which includes COSA and COPA 2.0, has major implications for how tech platforms handle speech. Now, before there's a major internet speech regulation currently making its way through Congress, and it has a really good chance of becoming law, it's called COSPA, K-O-S-P-A, the Kids Online Safety and Privacy Act, which passed in the Senate with overwhelmingly bipartisan support last month. Now, you probably heard of COSPA's predecessor, COSA, Kids Online Safety Act. It got bundled up with another bill called COPA 2.0, the Child and Teen Online Privacy Protection Act. Now, that's how we got with COSPA, KOSPA. At a broad level, COSPA is supposed to tackle two big issues: better protecting the privacy of minors online and making tech platforms more responsible for what those minors see and do. Now, COPA 2.0 was basically a spec bump. The first COPA passed in 1998, so it made websites and social media apps couldn't knowingly have users under age of 13 on the platform without their parents' consent. Of course, that hasn't stopped kids from using any of these things, and there's been a host of research and experiences with kids on the internet since. So COPA 2.0 bumps that up to 17 and bans things like showing targeted ads to minor, and this feels relatively straightforward. The second part, the COSA part that's been controversial for some time, COSA creates what's called a duty of care for platforms like Meta, Google, TikTok, and others, effectively making them liable for showing harmful content to kids. That's a speech regulation through and through. And like every speech regulation, that means that COSPA has to get over the First Amendment. COSPA certainly has opponents making that argument. There's also a strong argument that the government's interest in protecting children is enough to overcome that problem. In other words, push the bill through anyway. And that political power of parents being worried about the effects of the internet will push COSPA through. Now, here's the thing. And the thing I want all of us to remember. You as a parent are 100% responsible for what your kids do on the internet. You don't have to have these tech firms being your babysitter. You as your parent should be saying to your child, and this is anyone under, in my opinion, anyone under the age of 18, give me your phone. You should be able to unlock it at will, and you should be able to go through that phone, look at the apps that are being used, look at the conversations. Yep, uncomfortable, but in all reality, you already have the control to protect your children from what they're using. You should know about locked folders. You should be able to look about hidden photos, all these things that kids think they're smarter than their parents, and find this information and watch what your kids are doing. Walk into their rooms unannounced. What are you looking at? Let me see your phone. You know, we as parents have to be responsible for the safety of our children. That is our primary duty, to make the government the watchdog and make tech companies the watchdog of your kids. To me, that's just that's telling parents you're giving up. So I don't know. What say you? I'd love to hear your feedback here. geeknews@gmail.com. geeknews@gmail.com is the email address to send things through. Well, August, we have a supermoon. August supermoon kicks off 4 months of lunar spectacles. Now, I don't know what the 4 events are. It doesn't go into it in the article, but we are going to have a supermoon, and the supermoon is start happening next week. August supermoon kicks off a string of lunar spectacles. September supermoon coincide with a partial lunar eclipse. October's will be the year's closest approach, and November will round out the year. So when are we going to get the full one in August? Next week. So it's because Earth is a little bit closer to the moon. So there's a quartet of supermoons. The first will be 224,917,000 miles away. The next will be nearly 3,000 miles closer. So we'll get to see the better one will be September. So anyway, link in the show notes has all these details. But anyway, prepare for the supermoon. I guess I'll get to see it. I'll be home. Again, I'm only going to be in DC for a single week. British police, they're going to test drone flights beyond the line of sight so that the bobbies have new eyes in the sky, according to this article over on the Next Web. So the test will focus on flights beyond visual line of sight, meaning the operators won't see their drones. The police will instead rely on tech for navigation, control, and detection. They have high hopes for the approach, and they have a futures and innovation team are going to explore these flights beyond the line of sight. Why haven't they been doing this already? I don't get it. And they're going to look at autonomous capabilities. Of course, they're going to try to detect stuff. And, of course, here in the United States, you're supposed to be able to always see your drone. How many of you have flown your drone farther than you can visually see it? Now, don't admit it, but we know some of you have. Okay, so I'm looking at our value for value contributions to the show. And we had a lot of participation on the new media show with lots of sats that came in from the new media show, but no boost have come in from Geek News Central listeners. And we have had no new live streaming of the podcast. I'm looking here at the little dashboard that I have available. How can you participate? Well, it's real simple. All you got to do is go over and get a new podcast app at podcastapps.com. I like the Fountain app myself personally. Able to watch or listen to shows live, able to stream sats, able to do boost. It's an app that's my personal preference in the new podcasting space, and when it's for podcasting 2.0. We did not as well have any new PayPal donations that came in the show, so that's okay. But we did have some emails that come in, some feedback. We'll have those later. Matter of fact, maybe I'll do that email feedback right now. Let me go grab these. First and foremost, Dan says, "Hey Todd, great to have you back in the studio. It does look almost like the old studio. The sound is great, and the only critique I would suggest is that the panels on the back need to be more uniform, like the green panels altogether, with the gray panels alternating. Kind of way you have some. It's great to see you again. Always been a video guy, and it's really hard for me to just listen after all these years of seeing your mug. Imagine if you had set up your studio in the loft from the get-go and all the money you've saved over the years. Kind of one of those golden rules. Don't build your platform on someone else's platform. I just had to throw that in. Dan, if we'd had internet connectivity as we have it now, I probably would have done that from the beginning. But when I moved back here, this particular space was not available. I was in a different space for 6 to 7 months. That would not have served any use for the show. So that was a little bit of why the office piece and the internet was horrible. 15.3 up until we were able to get Starlink. But yeah, a major amount of savings, that's for sure. Ron says, studio looks good. I'm watching the show on Facebook. I used to download the MP4 from the GNC website, but the option appears to be missing. It is back, Ron. You can download the MP4 now. It's available. Just look at the player, the video player, and the link for the video will be within that. So thank you, too, for your feedback. I definitely appreciate it. And again, you can become an insider of the show by going over to geeknewscentral.com/insider, becoming an insider with a $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, $25 a month contribution. All right, moving back to the topic at hand, Google says it has found Iranian hackers hitting top U.S. presidential election targets. Of course, we had information already about former President Trump's hack that he said was done by the Iranians. Following early research from Microsoft lifting the lid on similar threats, Google has now published an intelligence report showing that threat actor tracked as AP42 has targeted a number of organizations related to the election. The report claims 60% of the attacks from APT42 have targeted Israel and the U.S. over the past 6 months, including phishing attacks and social engineering compromised Gmail accounts from high-profile individuals. So APT42 is connection to the Revolutionary Guard Corps and has launched a number of social engineering campaigns using fake pages that disguise themselves as a Jewish agency for Israel calling for a ceasefire. So anyway, again, Google now weighing in on this information. Also, the mayor of Columbus, Ohio, says ransomware attacks stole corrupted, unusable data. So fortunately here, no negative effect The mayor says that the data breach noted Tuesday that city never received a ransom request. The city learned Friday that most of the data published to the dark web by the ransomware group was corrupted or encrypted. And they initially claimed to have 6.5 terabytes of stolen data, including login information, emergency service files, and city camera access that it unsuccessfully put up for auction. He said the city's forensics indicated the group had a far less data than that, and its screenshots posted to the dark web were the most compelling asset that it had. So, again, more cyber stuff going on, and Columbus, Ohio got lucky on this one. The BenQ ceiling projector means never having to leave your bed for big screen movies. Now, I don't know what I feel about streaming videos on the ceiling. I don't know about you. I don't just lay on my back that long. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Would you be wanting to watch a movie laying in bed? I don't know if it would be so great to get a cinema experience looking up, maybe laying in bed, sitting up, maybe. The big benefit here is it delivers a big screen entertainment in spaces where you can't or don't want to have a massive TV. It's capable of throwing a picture up to 120 inches from right by your bedside, so it's small. You barely need to make room, so you could put it to the side of you. So again, the ceiling projector by BenQ. I have the link here in the show notes for you to check that out. Bit of space news going on, and they do not like all these satellites going on. Elon has irritated people. So Senate bill would create a center to study satellite interference with astronomy. And I think I know what they're going to find. Legislation introduced would create a new center devoted to protecting astronomy from interference. The Dark and Quiet Skies Act of 2024, introduced August 1st by Senator John Hickenlooper, Democrat, Colorado, and Mike Crapo, C-R-A-P-O, Republican, Idaho, would direct the National Institute of Science and Standards to create a center of excellence devoted to mitigating light and radio frequency interference by satellites on astronomical observations. The center, overseen by NIST but run by an outside entity such as a nonprofit organization, university, work with both astronomers and satellite operators to develop best practices to mitigate interference caused by satellites. I thought a lot of that was already happening. And by the way, it just controls what happens with satellites that are here in the United States. It's not going to stop anything from happening in China or any other country. T-Mobile has been hit with a $60 million fine. $60 million. And what it really boils back to, according to Reuters, the company failed to prevent and report unauthorized access to sensitive data following the Sprint acquisition. The unauthorized access occurred between 2020 and 2021 when information was shared from a small number of law enforcement information requests. For its part, T-Mobile said it experienced technical issues during the post-merger integration that affected sharing that information, noted that the data never left the law enforcement community, was reported in a timely manner, and was quickly addressed. According to one U.S. official, the $60 million penalty announcing highlights the committee's commitment to ramping up enforcement by holding companies accountable when they fail to comply with their obligations. They add that transparency about the enforcement action incentivizes other companies to comply with their obligations. So, $60 million fine by the government against T-Mobile. A little bit of an earnings report. Lenovo Q1 revenue has jumped by 20% and beats estimates as the PC market recovers. For 3 months ending in June, the company revenue rose to $15.4 billion, above the average estimate of $114.1 billion expected by analysts. This marks the third consecutive quarter of revenue growth for Lenovo after it suffered 5 straight quarters of revenue decline amid post-COVID. For the first 3 months ended June, shipments rose by 3% to 64.9 million units. Lenovo maintained its position as the market leader, holding a 23% market share, according to IDC. Oh, I don't know why I didn't flip that back. Sorry about that. That's what happens. Cisco, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Cisco slashed thousands of staff. 7% of entire workforce is pivot into AI. So, networking company, Cisco, that it's eliminated 7% of its global workforce. Cisco currently estimates it will recognize pre-tax charges to its GAAP financial results of up to $1 billion, consisting of severance and other one-time termination benefits and other costs. It expects to recognize $700 million to $800 million of those charges in quarter one, with the rest of that playing out during the first year. The layoff, a company-wide restructure that includes shift towards AI and security and consolidation of the arms of the biz. Current network boss Jonathan Davidson will move to a role advising the CEO during the switchover. Signaling the increased importance of security business, Jatu Patel, previously Executive Vice President and General Manager of Security, will head up the new expanded group. Cisco agreed to buy the cybersecurity firm Splunk last year for $28 billion, its largest deal ever, but yet 7%. In other words, they did that merger, and now some people got to go. Got too many people. At the same time, Twitter must pay over $500,000 to unfairly dismissed Irish executive. Twitter's been ordered to pay $607,000 compensation, or 550,000 euros, for the unfair dismissal to a former executive in Ireland. Ireland's Workplace Relations Commission ruled on incidents involving the former senior executive after the social media site terminated his employment. And again, this goes back to November of 2022. This is the biggest Workplace Relations Commission ruling ever. Biggest, $607,000 that they need to compensate this prior employee or prior executive, obviously. The morning after, Apple is still working on a rotating iPad-like tabletop device. So what they're really trying to do here is they're trying to compete with the Amazon Echo and Nest. According to Bloomberg, it could debut as soon as 2026, so it's still a ways away. With a thin robotic arm that moves around a large display, it would look like a mid 2000s piece of tech, something from Portal or iRobot. Rumors suggest it may tilt the screen up and down using actuators and rotate 360 degrees. That could suggest it could tap into Apple's DocKit software to track users as they move around the home for video calls and more. So we'll see, again, quite a ways away before anything like this makes the market. Of course, if you got comments on today's show, it's simple, at geeknews@gmail.com, or please, you can reach out to me on X at geeknews as well. Any of you out here use a temperature probe for your steaks and pork chops when you're on the grill? I don't. My brother-in-law uses the temperature probe religiously. I do not, but there's something new called the Master Pro XL. It uses 4 probes of its updated wireless probes to monitor your grill. $349. You know, here's the trick. Here's what I found with steak. Okay, you put your steaks down, right? Got the grill, got it fired up, got a good temperature. Put the steaks down. And now I like my steaks medium rare. And I wait for just a little bit of juice, blood, whatever you want to call it, to surface on the top of the steak. I immediately flip it. And then 1 to 2 more minutes, maximum, and it's done. And you get a medium rare steak. I didn't use it. If I used a temperature probe, those things, by the time I got it in there, checked temperature and did everything I needed to do, the steaks would be well done. Now, if you like your steaks well done, you obviously don't need these probes. But I like a nice medium rare steak. That's the best on the planet, in my opinion. So, what say you? How do you like your steaks? A Russian man who sold logins to nearly 3,000 accounts has received 40 months in jail. Hailing from Moscow, 27-year-old Georgy Kavzadze, oh my God, sold his stolen wares between July of 2016 and May of 2021 on the Slip Marketplace, which was taken down in 2021 following coordinated effort from the International Law Enforcement Agency. He was arrested and extradited just under a year later and has been detained since then. Wow. The U.S. justice system did not state which country he was extradited from, but it clearly wasn't Russia. The takedown led to discovery information about vendors on the site, of which he was one, including transactions, payment information. Wiretap data was handed to the U.S. authorities by another country. They identified the site user's login credentials and IP address. So 40 months. So is he got time served? It's here 24, 48. He was extradited in May of 22. Yeah, so he either was out on, he couldn't have been out on bail, but he must have got time served. That makes sense. 40 months? 12, 20. Yeah, I guess not. I guess he's still going to get some more time if you think about it. U.S. Homeland Security reportedly collect face scans of migrant children. It's interesting. How come people are not having their pictures taken to begin with? The U.S. Department of Homeland Security, which is looking to improve its facial recognition algorithm, is reportedly planning to use the facial data of migrant children entering the country for training. According to MI Tech Review, the agency intends to collect and analyze facial capture of kids younger than 14. John Boyd, the Assistant Director of Homeland Security of Biometric Identification Management, who was involved in the development of biometric services for the government, told the publication that collection will include children down to infants. Are they collecting these because they can't collect on Americans? If they're collecting on people that... It's very interesting, isn't it? Nothing in that article talks about the factor at all. This is an interesting story. Google's ex-CEO, Eric Schmidt, has had to roll back on remarks he made that linked the megacorp's support showing in the AI race with the company's flexible working policy. So I guess he got in a little trouble, probably with Sergey. Schmidt said Google decided that work-life balance and going home early and working from home was more important than winning. The reason startup work is because people work like hell. The video has since been made private following a request from Schmidt to take it down, although clips are still circulating online. In an email to the Wall Street Journal, Schmidt said, "I misspoke about Google and their work hours. I regret my error." No, he does not. He doesn't regret his error. It made it public. As well he might. The Alphabet Workers Union, VX, gave an alternative explanation for the slowdown in work of Google staffers. Understanding shifting priorities, constant layoffs, stagnant wages, and lack of follow-through from management and projects, these factors slow Google workers down every day. While Schmidt might publicly at least regret his words, yes, publicly at least, Google's actions along many of its tech peers speak differently as executives see to cram the working from home genie released during the pandemic back into its lamp. They want people back in the office. And I get it. The level of production by employee varies. I have to be very, very focused to keep my production high too, even working from here. That's why it was easier for me to go to the office, stay focused, no distractions. So, I've set up a number of things here new. I have a divider wall now that's trying to separate me a little bit from the rest of my space, just making it more productive. How much do you think Kim Kardashian was paid by Apple with these Beats headphone collab? 3 limited run colors of the Beats Studio Pro will likely sell out. So Kim Kardashian is lending her name and image to a second collaboration with Apple Beats. The latest entry to the Beats X Kim line brings 3 neutral colors, moon, dune, and earth, to the Beats Studio Pro headphones. Limited collection is available now from Apple and Amazon, even with the celebrity backing. The headset retails for their usual price of $350. But how much do you think they paid Kim Kardashian to do this endorsement? That's what I'd like to know. NASA pushes decision on bringing crew back in Starliner to the end of August. When is a mishap not really a mishap? The briefing, which did not feature any Boeing personnel, hinted at the turmoil behind the scenes at the U.S. Space Agency as staffers grapple with the problem of Starliner's problematic thrusters, which they can't explain why they are working now when they quit working. And the wrangling means a decision on the transport method is going to wait. They might even come back, believe it or not, in a SpaceX vehicle without seats. They may lay down in the cargo bay. What a way to come back, right? Why not? Why not just sit on a bunch of the packages coming back? That'd be the way to go, right? But I think that's only going to be done in an emergency if they bring them back that way. Listen to this. A fake political group that recruited a real candidate in Montana got banned on Facebook. A fake political group that recruited a real candidate. Patriots Run Project encourages followers to run for office before Meta took action. According to Meta, the fake accounts and pages and groups were trying to prop a fictitious political group, Patriots Run Project, that encouraged people to challenge Republican and Democrat elites by running for office. In all, Meta uncovered 124 Facebook groups and groups as well as 3 Instagram accounts. The group primarily targeted people in Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Wisconsin and North Carolina spent $50,000 in Facebook ads. Who do you think that was? The Institute for Strategic Dialogue, a nonprofit that researches disinformation extremism, previously shared details about the Patriot Run Project and their Facebook presence. The group said they called for followers to run for office on a pro-Trump, anti-establishment platform focused on many of the same issues that motivate the right-wing movement. So who spent that money? Who spent $50,000 on Facebook advertising? In an interesting move, listen to this. SAG-AFTRA deal will let advertisers replicate actors' voices with AI. Performers will get to choose which brands to work with and how much to charge. This new agreement will allow actors to earn from AI copies of their voices with their informed consent. The union representing 1,000 performers struck a deal with Narrative, which is an online platform where performers can license digital voice replicas for use in audio ads. Brands who want to use a performer's voice will have to identify the product or service they're promoting, and performers will be able to review offers by accepting or declining them. Very, very interesting. The Epic case with Google, the judge says he'll tear the barriers down on Apple's store monopoly. 8 months after a federal jury unanimously decided that Google's Android app store is an illegal monopoly. What about Apple? Epic versus Google. Donato had his final hearing. While we don't know yet what will happen, he repeatedly shut down a suggestion that Google shouldn't have to open its store to rival stores. That'll be too much work or cost too much, and that the proposed remedies go too far. He says, we're going to tear the barriers down. It's just the way it's going to happen. The world that exists today is the product of monopolistic conduct. That world is changing. Donato will issue his final ruling in a little over 2 weeks. Well, Epic won the jury trial last December. It's been up to the judge to decide how to fix the damage. So this is a very interesting move. Now, I want to pay attention to you. I want you to pay attention to these 2 next articles. And this is very, very important. And for those of you that have business online and so forth, you really, really, really need to pay attention here. So AI Answers is going to be brought to additional countries. The countries are, let's see if I can find it. I thought I had it queued here, but I have to roll a little bit further. I can't find it. Where is it? I'm irritated. Well, anyway, they're going to open these queries to 6 new countries just 2 months after it rolled back some of the capabilities following a problem-riddled launch. Now, AI overviews, which are displayed atop a search results page before traditional links to the web, is going to be rolled out in all over the place. But what is more troubling, in addition to that, is that Google's AI search gives sites dire choices: share, data, or die. Publishers say blocking the company's AI bot could also prevent their sites from showing up in search. This has been my tenet from the beginning. Google displays convenient AI-based answers at the top of its search pages, meaning users may never click through to a website whose data is being used to power those results. But many site owners say they can't afford to block Google's AI from summarizing their content. That's because the Google tool that sifts through the web content to come up with its AI answers is the same one that keeps track of web pages for search results. Blocking Alphabet, Google, etc., the way sites have blocked some of its AI competitors would hamper the site's ability to be discovered online. Google's dominance in search, which a federal court ruled last week is an illegal monopoly, is giving a decisive advantage in the brewing AI wars, which search startups and publishers say is unfair. So publishers, businesses, and so forth, it's going to be a do or die situation here soon. Again, Google AI search gives sites dire choices. I'm a firm believer here that the situation with Google it's going to get bad. And businesses are going to go out of business because of these changes to search. You're letting an AI give results, and people are lazy. They're not going to scroll down. And you have to buy your way into AI search results. I'm sure of it. That's the only way Google can survive. I don't see any other way around any of this. If you have comments on today's show, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com, @geeknews on Twitter. Don't forget about our sponsor, GoDaddy, at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. It's been my pleasure to bring you a show today. Little bit of a kind of change to how we're doing the video piece. Got to get my eyeballs trained on the new way I'm showing things here. I hope that you all enjoyed the show today. If you haven't watched the video of the podcast, please give it a look. If you're specifically in audio only, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the background. Let me know if you have any comments about the podcast. We definitely appreciate it. Again, we want you to consider becoming an insider, geeknewscentral.com/insider. It really helps the show. Tonight, I think the stream went without a hitch. We'll knock on wood that this continues. I'm watching my bandwidth usage very closely with Starlink. I don't want to be getting into a situation where I'm using too much data, but I think so far I'm pretty happy with the layout of the show. The audio has been spectacular. I think the video is pretty well dialed in. Again, let us know what you think. There was a comment. There was a comment. Anita said, "Todd, the blueberry on the table is like your crystal ball. Can you see the future?" No, I cannot see the future. I wish I could see the future. If I did, we'd all be rich because I'd give everyone stock tips here on the show. I think AI companies are probably the way to go right now. But again, I'm not a stock analyst or stock expert. I think those are pretty safe bets. Okay, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the family. We thank you for listening and watching the show. We'll see you back here a week from Monday. As again, I'm going to be going to Podcast Movement and the United States Nation's capital in Washington, D.C. Already got a pretty busy schedule there. I've been invited to a Nationals ball game, so I'll probably do that on Tuesday, along with a party. And yeah, it's going to be busy, but I'll be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, back here on Friday. No shows next week because of the busy schedule at Podcast Movement. Again, it's been my pleasure bringing the podcast today. Let me know what you think. See everyone next time. Thank you so much for being here. Take care. Bye-bye.